Fargo 5. We're moving into the Fargo Famous segment. We are here with somebody who's certainly quite famous, Yvette from FM Aerial Arts. Hello, Yvette.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Conrad?
I'm good, but as I warned you, I think we're going to have to switch to mic 3 here.
No.
Why don't we try that? Mic 2 is not coming through. Here, why don't you... Here, go ahead and put that. That's always fun to do on air, right? Give that a try.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. That's perfect. That's perfect.
Here we go.
You've got some real ASMR quality coming across there. That's,
Noise.
Yeah. So tell me, I always read it and then I have a problem, especially on air. How do we pronounce your last name?
My last name is Reyes.
Just Reyes.
Yeah,
okay,
Reyes.
Just like it's spelled. So Yvette Reyes from FM Aerial Arts, and you're not from Fargo originally.
Nope. I grew up in Crookston, Minnesota, so not that far away. I was born in Los Angeles, California.
Yeah.
But that lasted about 2 weeks, maybe.
Okay.
And then bopping around the Midwest.
Okay. I remember you coming from California. You didn't live outside of the Midwest for a long time. You went to school. You went to some special academy for a while.
Yeah, so I had applied to an international boarding school and was accepted, and that was international in New Mexico. So.
Yeah, okay. That's where, and so gosh, somehow my brain had gapped that out. So you started in the Midwest, and it wasn't until you went to some warmer climates in international boarding school. What drew you back to Fargo of all places?
I would say probably failure.
Oh no, that's. Hey, Fargo's a great place to be, but why don't you tell me, elaborate on that a little bit. Why would you say failure brought you to Fargo?
Yeah, so my entire growing up, I was like, as a child of immigrant parents, education is a massive thing, and so it's very much like education is going to take you far. I had been accepted early decision into the first women's college in the U.S., and unfortunately, even with scholarships, I couldn't afford it. So I ended up coming back to the Midwest for what I thought was a gap year to learn welding as a trade, so I wouldn't have to think about money in the sense of like being a burden on my family.
And anybody who sees you or even hears you, I mean, you're petite. You're very feminine and small. Like, you're a girly girl. What on earth pushed you into welding? I mean, you got to be the only girl in the shop, right? I
want to say the entire time I was there, it was me and maybe like two other people, two other women.
But I imagine they are not lipstick wearing, petite, right? Like my picture of a female welder, I guess, is just not you, right? I mean, it's not quite typecast, or is it? Do I have the wrong picture in my head, or?
No, I think actually, like maybe in the past, very much so, but I do think it's changing. So really? I think the trades people are kind of realizing that it's a good opportunity to make money. Yeah. And so the reason I went into welding, I didn't know what it was when I applied. And
you just saw the dollar bills and you're like, that's it. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I saw the money and I was like, I need that. Like, because I was working at the gas station for $9 an hour. Right. And I was working in a production shop. I was working 7 days a week. Yeah. So I was like, this is not sustainable. So.
Yeah. So you did what you could to move the ball forward, and you did welding, and you did that for a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was almost 7 years or something like that.
That's amazing. And you met your fiancé, your boy. Did you get married ever yet, or what? How's that? Where's that been going? You met the love of your life there, right? Yeah. You guys are still together. How did that happen?
So when I first started working there, I mean, being a woman, I got a lot of attention.
I'll bet.
People were like, wow, it's so cool that you're a lady and you're a welder. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. And so I felt like I was going to get fired because no one would leave me alone. And I would put my hood down to start working, and I would get pelted in the head with like a rubber grommet. Oh. And it was like, it's like this little piece of rubber. And I just was getting really mad because I'm like, men here, do not leave me alone.
Because they want your attention, right? So, I mean, it's like kindergarten where it's like kicking the back of the chair to get the girl's attention.
I feel it very much so. Wow. So I found out later that the person that was throwing the grommet is now my husband.
So it worked. I mean, you can't, in hindsight, you really blame him? He got your attention. So I think we got a couple takeaways here. Note to ladies. Okay, you're looking for a man? Go join the trades.
Join the trades.
Right? You'll find some decent men there. And note to men, you're looking for a lady, just start throwing stuff at them. Right? That's the lesson you're teaching me here today.
I feel like there's so many lessons that could be taken, and I like this perspective on it.
Okay. And then during that time, you started doing, how do we refer, just aerial arts? I mean, is that, when I think aerial arts, I'm thinking like people who drive a plane fancy. This is not plane driving.
Yeah, or like drones. Some people think of drones. Yeah. I want to say, so aerial in particular, I think of something that you do in the air. So you are feet off the ground.
But you're highly educated at the first women's college ever, right?
Oh.
So I mean, you know the word aerial, but I think most people might be a little confused.
Yeah,
but
for people.
This is more like acrobatics, right?
Yes, definitely a lot more acrobatic. When I first got it. Wow, English is so hard sometimes. When I first got started, I was at the shop and I was 20 years old and I didn't know how to make friends. And I was like, well, I don't really want to make friends with my coworkers who I'm like at 3 a.m. because I also worked the evening overnight shift. So I ended up doing a Google search, which has made a lot of my decisions in life now that I'm reflecting back on it.
Wow.
But I found a 4-week intro to pole. So I first started with pole, and it ended up being a space where all of the women were really supportive, and in my mind I was interested because I'm like, oh, this is something that is cool. It's really hard. It's also something that makes me think of my body in the way of I am proud of what I can do and less so of what it looks like. So pole was the gateway into aerial, because then Gasper School of Dance, they have their Nutcracker every year, and they always invite an aerialist, and so they do workshops, and that was kind of like my first introduction to aerial silks, which is the fabrics from a rigging point, and you do acrobatic moves that are really difficult, but they look very pretty.
Very, very cool. Like I said before we started the show, 5 minutes goes by fast. We are already up to our first musical break. I just found this band today. They're called the Minahan Street Band with their song Make the Road Walking. We'll be back after that for Fargo Fun. Don't go nowhere.